Hello and welcome. Today we checking out every map in game. Let's get started. Abbey. A large, elevated abbey situated on a hill fills the center of the map, flanked by 4 routes allowing passage from the north and south. Hills and ravines provide significant protection against artillery fire on the edges of the map, while also funneling attackers into narrow paths and preventing easy access to other flanks. The central abbey is a contested hotspot, so a majority of players can be expected to clash between the buildings, while the hills and surrounding forests make ideal ambushing grounds for TDs or SPGs to conceal themselves and fire upon others in the abbey. Berlin, a recreation of the Reichstag assault during the final days of war in Europe. Empire's Border. This map was originally exclusive to the Chinese server, but after receiving positive feedback from its home audience, it received an HD update and was released globally in Update 1.2. Teams begin in opposite corners of the map, with routes between the 2 bases surrounded by imposing mountains and uneven terrain that limit vision and movement across the map. Various regions boast various altitudes and allow for different tactics. Cliff. Starting in the north and south, both teams are connected through a valley on the extreme west of the map and a less direct route across the eastern plateau. Large boulders and a small town provide cover for those waiting outside the bottleneck valley, with less cover offered for plateau goers as they harass skirmishers below. Both flanks of the map must be accounted for, though seizing the central elevated area provides control over all other routes. It is not an easily defensible position and falls quickly to coordinated flank attacks. Hence, a labyrinth of city blocks and suburban areas span this map, with railroad tracks separating the 2 areas. Plan your tactics to take advantage of defensive choke points and cover open areas with your vehicles. Artillery is great for deterring enemy breakthroughs, but remains almost defenseless when exposed to enemy vehicles attacking from cover. Fisherman's Bay. The map is a combination of open spaces and irregular terrain. Meandering narrow streets of the seaport on the flank can be surprisingly advantageous. Sloping hills covered with bushes offer excellent ambush opportunities. This is a hard map and can be quite boring too. A lot of light and fast medium tanks head into the central ridge of the map and have a standoff, while some heavies head to the town and others head around to a small gully that runs along the edge of the map. Other mediums and especially TDs head here too, and they can do very well. Fjords. Huge mountains and narrow valleys offer great advantages in a battle. You can engage in a fire duel across the Gulf or enter a close-quarter battle at the nearest port town or flank and capture enemy base. This is a tricky map to play, and there are 2 main combat zones. A huge hill in the north ends up being a vital strategic point. If you do not successfully protect or take this, then you will lose. There is no question of it. The other main point of combat is down the other side of the map, where heavies slug it out for a while. Highway. The diverse landscape of this map makes it peculiar and complex, and also encourages a wide range of tactics. Multiple defilades are favorable for surprise attacks, while the city blocks are advantageous for close combat. The long stretch of road provides optimal mobility, but it's exposed and open to artillery. Himmelsdorf. Literally translated as Sky Village from German, this labyrinth of streets and squares are a large hindrance for artillery and tank destroyers, but ideal for speedy breakthrough and bypass by medium and light vehicles. The castle is obviously a point of domination on the map, with either side vowing to claim the higher advantage over their enemies. However, the hills are steep and can be slow on the advance but deadly on the descent. Karelia. Swamps, rocks, and cliffs determine major avenues of approach on this map. This map, with sparse protection and no buildings, gives the combat advantage to artillery. Concentrate your attacks along the path of your main advance, while conducting delaying and defensive actions along the rest of your front lines. This is a bit of a strange map and can be hard to play, especially for beginners. There is one main piece of advice to give, however. Unless you are a fast scout and you know what you are doing, or it is late game and your team has secured the area, do not cross the central swamp area. It is a death trap, particularly for slow-moving or low-tiered tanks. Lakeville, an isolated mountain valley on one flank and city blocks on the other, allow you to employ either urban or rural tactics. The large valley offers a sole contest point, as either side struggle through the bottleneck. A small mountain trail winds along, next to the waterside, but offer little to no cover from snipers attacking from the town on the other side. Lights can use the town to dart around enemy surveillance, but run the risk of being shotgunned by cunning SPGs using it to conceal themselves from enemy fire. Live Oaks. In the center of the map, there is a large bog lake. A railway bridge and a fording side on the one flank allow to defend the area using scarce forces, and to concentrate main forces on the other flank. This is a hard map, as victory depends on whether your team secured both flanks, or alternatively, secured one while holding off the enemy on the other. Which side to go on is entirely choice, and you see tanks of all kinds going into the city and the bridge. This is a good fun map, but it can be frustrating, especially if you are slow-moving. Malinovka. Initial staging areas are separated by a wide open field, ideal for artillery and defensive operations. Make use of flanking maneuvers and natural defenses like woods, hills, and farmhouses, as these can be decisive. Another option is a well-coordinated high-speed combined arms attack across the field, which could bring victory, but at the risk of a bloody loss. Colloquially also known as Kampanovka, for the tendency of most players to just sit behind cover on their side of the starting field and snipe each other. Mines. A flat hilltop in the center of this map provides the obvious central point of contest on this map. Nestled in the canyon northeast of the hill is the small village of Pogorki, offering a tempting route with plenty of cover, but one that is exposed if the enemy controls the hill. West of the hill, surrounded by shallow water, is a small island which offers good cover while providing a large fire zone. While the island is protected from the hill, it is, for the most part, vulnerable to flanking attacks or fire from multiple angles. The island cover is solid, but not particularly large. Watch for the plateau, to the north of the map, which is often offering a good vantage point for TDs and artillery, especially being a viewpoint over the battlefield around it. Mountain Pass. A large map with many turns and rough ground. The bridge near the center features natural choke points on both sides and provides a good sniping position against opponents in the north passes if held. There are small positions for artillery near the bases, though artillery may have difficulty due to the terrain. Heavies generally choose the side that has a more open view of the shallow lake, and not many people end up going down the other side, so it has some flanking opportunities. The bridge is an area to be wary of, not just because of other tanks, but because of the fact that it is so easy to kill yourself by accidentally driving off it. Muravanka. A small town dominates the center of the map, with a large forest providing concealment in the east and high ground to the west. The forest provides effective concealment, but lacks cover from fire, whereas the town has plentiful cover, but lacks concealment. Muravanka is a hard map to play and quite unpredictable. If it is encounter, then there will be chaos around the capture circle, but otherwise the fighting is even on both sides. In a lower team game, I have seen successful flanking maneuvers by fast scouts who can cause chaos at the back. Overlord, new map as of patch 9.7, appears to be limited to tiers 6 to 10. A relatively flat beachhead leads up to fields surrounded by hedgerows. Teams start up by the hedgerows, so the beach is only a corridor for flanking. Paris, a French map introduced to random battles in patch 9.16. The map features a large open area in the north with bushes located near the endpoints of the central buildings, a bush-covered hill on either side, and a small mound at the center of the far north end. Several avenues on either side of the map lead down to the center of the map, which does not have much in the way of cover, but can allow for spotting and sniping down said avenues if used correctly. The south end of the map consists of a city area, again, with avenues leading to the center, and a smaller, semi-open area with several buildings and rubble mounds for cover, a bridge, and two different levels of terrain elevation. As a result of the bridge and its ending points around the south end. Pearl River. Rugged terrain is favorable for various battle tactics, ambushes, unexpected flanking maneuvers, and close encounters. Moving along the riverbed allows you to swiftly approach the enemy base and get into action. Go through the middle will let you the possibility to flank the north and south. However, do not leave your rear undefended. This map was removed from random battle mode in patch 0.9.10 before being reintroduced in patch 1.9.1. Pilsen, a new Czech-inspired map introduced in patch 9.13 to coincide with the release of the Czechoslovakian medium tank branch. The map features several smaller buildings on the left flank with corridors positioned along either side of them, a large, empty factory building in the center, and some more open terrain on the right flank, featuring slight hills and a small scattering of houses for cover. Prokhorovka, generally open but hilly, terrain around a vital railroad, with groups of trees providing shelter for tank destroyers. On the offensive, watch your own flanks while striking against the enemy flanks. Artillery has free rein, with the only real hindrance being the train cars themselves, but the open terrain makes them very vulnerable to raids by light vehicles. See Fiery Salient for strategy. Province. Hills on the periphery of the map are covered with numerous houses and winding streets advantageous for surprise attacks. An open area between the bases is favorable for daring strikes. This map was removed from random battle mode in patch 9.10, but has returned in update 1.0.1 with numerous modifications and high-definition redesigned graphics for battle tiers 4 to 7. Redshire, a rolling area dominated by a couple of hills. The village of Redshire gives places to hide from hill to its northeast. Artillery will play a powerful role on this map. At the beginning of the game, many light tanks will rush the central capture circle in encounter. This should be stopped as soon as possible, as it can create some serious problems later. Many mediums and some heavies head to the castle. This can be a crucial control point, but generally ends up as a stalemate. The other side of the map is generally dominated by heavies and is also crucial. This map is quite hard to play, but it can be very fun. Ruinberg. Concentric city streets, along with dense forests and bushes in the overgrown park, allow for hidden maneuvers and redeployment of your troops. Although artillery fire is of limited use in the city, the debris provides effective cover for your troops. Many lights and mediums head to the tiny town on the main road. This is generally a standoff until the late game. Heavies, of course, go to battle in the city, and this is the deciding factor of the battle. If UCA gets some tanks around the back side of the church, then you can create a lot of chaos. Serene Coast. This coastal area is bounded by ocean and mountains. A railroad crosses the territory from north to south. Small hills on the western flank are favorable for a swift attack. A straight road connecting the bases passes through a small town, which often becomes a contested piece of terrain. There is also a low ground beside the town, which could use for flanking the west and the middle. The bases are protected by the hills from direct attacks. However, the flanks of the bases are insecure and must be protected. Siegfried Line, a wonderful map combining the best of both worlds. The west side is open fields with little cover, excellent for quick flanks around the side for those looking for an early victory. To the east, the town offers concealment and cover for those brave enough to enter its confines. Most of the fighting will happen in the town. Unless you are a light tank or know you are not going to be spotted, do not go out into the central field. Also, do not go down the strip behind the city. There will be death on swift wings waiting for you there. Successful maneuvers have been made over the hills on the north of the map, and these can be very game-changing if successful. Overall, this is a fun map that if you play well, you can really play well. Steppes, a seemingly endless open expanse of fields and hills scattered through this farmland-esque map. Open fields, varying ditches, and small hills and rises litter this map, allowing for some prime spots to lay ambushes. Long, open fields are great for those who prefer long-distance combat, with little cover available to your target. Just remember This works both ways. This map generally ends with one team taking one flank and one taking the other. It is important that both are taken. No matter how tempting it is, do not go down the central road until the late game. It is guaranteed suicide. Studzianki, not based on any historical location in particular, but inspired by the great battle near Studzianki. This map combines open spaces with some brawling spots. The location encompasses large fields, lots of vegetation, small village houses centered around a tall church. Dead center of the map is a small brick factory that will become an important point of interest during the course of battle. Tundra, a mountain in the east, offers the possibility of dominating from the high ground, while the central part of the map offers a wide range of tactical advantages. The village in the west could offer some linear combat for heavy tanks. Heavy tanks generally end up around a large rocky hill to the west, fighting along a gully there. The bridge in the middle can be a good place for lightning maneuvers into the enemy base, but these should be done with caution. The other main point of conflict is the hill in the east, where many tanks go and fight around a couple of small rocks. This can be a very dangerous place for people who are not aware of what is going on around them. The map has many sniping positions that can be used well, and SPGs generally hang out at the back. This is a very good and fun map, but it can be challenging too. Westfield, a wonderfully lush area. Westfield features forests, fields, farmland, and multiple villages throughout the map. Included is a large war-damaged bridge crossing the Eastern Valley. Plentiful ridges give ambush positions along nearly every route, and large fields can leave a tank vulnerable when moving between positions. It is not recommended to go down the Central Valley unless you are a scout or it is a very late game, as it is a pretty useless area. Heavy tanks, strong mediums, and some tank destroyers end up fighting on the hills next to the small town. Fast mediums and fast tank destroyers can have a good game by going over to the other side of the valley, although they mainly need scouts over here to perform well. The bridge on center of this map is connected until 6.4 patch. Y Park. This map depicts an industrial city devastated by war. A railway embankment divides the map in two, making it possible to concentrate forces for an attack or counterattack. The railway lines at one end of the map tend to have a lot of camping TDs. Exercise caution when taking this route. A lot of heavy tank conflicts happen at the railway bridge at the other end. This usually takes the form of a stalemate until someone has the courage to push forwards. The railway line at the center of the map is a very long standoff. Occasionally tanks poke over the top and try to hit something. Unless the enemy team is distracted or fairly incompetent, then this is a bad strategy. This is a very bad map for SPGs, as there are a lot of buildings in the way of shots. Erlenberg. A large river splits this map in half, with 3 bridges acting as choke points between the halves. A small town surrounds the center bridge, while the north and south bridges have fewer buildings providing cover. A large castle overlooks the west half of the map on a large hilltop, offering cover and supporting fire positions. Hills overlook the city in the east, with sufficient vegetation to provide some concealment for tanks. This map is notorious for having a lot of people drown themselves while tried to crossing the river. Mannerheim Line. A large ice and snow covered area stretches through this map. Steep hills, rock encampments, twists and turns, and plenty of places to stay and wait will have you on your toes as you battle through this icy death trap. Ridge, hills, and lots of rocky outcrops give you many places to hide and ambush your enemy as they come about. Turns and twists could have you stuck if you're not on your toes, so watch out. Renamed from Arctic region to Mannerheim Line in Update 1.0. Glacier. This post-apocalyptic wasteland of Glacier, with its blend of beautiful snow and ice, has been in development for quite a while now. Initially, its release had been timed around the addition of Swedish tanks. However, the team agreed that Big World didn't have the capacity to show the wintry landscapes in all their glory. Now that core is up and running, we can finally present this deserted and serene locale with hot springs, geysers, and elevated ridges. This map is playable for Tier 4X tanks. Airfield. This map offers many great ambush spots, as well as possibilities for maneuvers and breakthroughs. A large airfield in the upper part of the map and a rocky highland in the center offer a major tactical challenge. Occupy the highland to get a perfect view of the surrounding terrain and dominate routes to the enemy base. El Halaf, a large valley filled with rocks, vegetation, and a small village surrounding a dried-out riverbed separate the two teams. The large hills on either side of the valley offer many firing positions, and very little cover in the valley will protect a large tank completely against all positions. Regardless of approach, attackers will face a long climb into the enemy's camp, and effective use of the cover on route is essential. The northern approach offers plentiful protection to attack either hill, but the southern approach makes up for lack of protection with shorter distances and better concealment. Ghost Town, originally designed as 7v7 esports map, being exactly symmetrical, introduced to what as the current reworked version in Update 1.4 in May 2019. This Presidio, located in the desert sands, is an ideal setting for head-on heavy vehicle encounters, while the more maneuverable vehicles can launch surprise attacks by flanking the enemy. Heavies have cover in the town without constant arty disruption. Mediums and light and fast heavies can flank on the sides. Sand River, a mostly open map offering little concealment, but providing plentiful cover due to the large number of sand dunes. 3 small villages provide temporary cover at best, but are easily destroyed, so they must be used cautiously. Each flag is well protected with a ridge offering defenders cover, concealment, and excellent firing positions. Plentiful cover allows an excellent arena for run-and-gun tactics, while offering many routes for tanks to engage the enemy and make use of their mobility. Hinterland 30 vs 30 map. The map reproduces the central regions of the Soviet Union during the Second World War. The approximate year is 1943. The brick factory, located on flat terrain and surrounded by country houses, presents a point of interest for both teams. Control over the factory will benefit a further advance on the enemy base. Crossing the relatively open areas nearby may be dangerous for heavily armored vehicles that will be exposed to attacks from ambush spots and SPG fire. Klondike. Epic 30v30 fights are expanding to Klondike. This new 1.4 by 1.4 kilometers mixed terrain map takes you to North America, where icy winds blow across vast expanses of open field and down the cold, empty streets of an industrial area. Set in the northern part of the map, the mine provides an advantage to fast breakthrough vehicles. The central map area near the road is suitable for vehicles with reliable armor. To the south, the river delta gives way to vast and open plateaus, offering a very convenient position for vehicles with accurate guns. This map was introduced in Update 0.9.21. Nebelberg. Nebelberg is a 1.4 by 1.4 kilometers summer map with mixed terrain and designed specifically for grand battles. It offers enough space for all 60 players to maneuver. The middle area, dominated by a hill, is well suited for scouts. Heavy hitters and TDs can use the buildings and streets of the town in the west to their advantage, especially in close combat. Hilly areas in the east lend ample tactical opportunities to medium tanks and others that perform well on uneven terrain, thanks to solid gun depression and turret armor. First Grand Battle Map, introduced in Update 9.20. Fata Morgana 30 vs 30 Frontline Map. This vast expanse of sand and rock formations features various environments to navigate, including narrow streets, treacherous canyons, and caves for cover. Numerous dunes can be used to set up ambushes, while foliage along the river offers additional concealment. Third special map for the frontline mode, introduced with Update 1.21 in May 2023. Kraftwerk 30 vs 30 Frontline Map. The attackers start in the city blocks before moving through industrial areas, large plants, and suburbs. The last defensive line in their way is a fortified zone. Heavy vehicles are able to take advantage of urban areas and terrain irregularities, while fast vehicles can prove quite effective in performing flanking maneuvers or using wide roads and tunnels. Second special map for the Frontline mode, introduced with Frontline Episode 8 in September 2019. The name of the map, Kraftwerk, is German and translates to power plant. Normandy 30 vs 30 Frontline map. The assault is taken from the riverbeds, over mountaintops into the city. Vast countryside areas are the perfect opportunities for fast and stealthy tanks, while small villages and mountain passes are populated by more heavy machinery. First special map for the Frontline mode, introduced with Update 1.0.1 in May 2018. Arzagir 4.0 4 Steel Hunter map. The main objective is to be the last player or platoon standing. Collect resources, upgrade your vehicle, and survive. Second special map for the Steel Hunter mode, introduced with Update 1.10 in August 2020. Dreamland Steel Hunter map. The main objective is to be the last player or platoon standing. Collect resources, upgrade your vehicle, and survive. First special map for the Steel Hunter mode, introduced with the release of the mode in August 2019. For Nulfur's Steel Hunter map, the main objective is to be the last player or platoon standing. Collect resources, upgrade your vehicle, and survive. Third special map for the Steel Hunter mode, introduced with the Update 1.17 in June 2022. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day. Hit the like button or the dislike button or the subscribe button, and hit little bell get notification when new video.